Okay, let's just start with a really fundamental question. Imagine everything we assume about human history, our place in the world, is just wrong.
You mean the idea that we're the apex predator, the dominant species?
Exactly. What if our entire civilization, everything from, the first farms to the internet, was all built on one single, incredibly lucky cosmic accident?
Well, you're diving right into the core of this really fascinating and, frankly, terrifying hypothetical we're looking at today. The source material calls it the Mesozoic continuum.
And the premise is so simple, but it changes everything. The asteroid, the one that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago.
It's just missed.
Yeah.
Or it was smaller, or it never happened.
Yeah.
The point is, the KPG extinction event is off the table.
So you get this fully realized, terrifying alternate Earth where non-avian dinosaurs just kept going. They kept evolving, they kept dominating, and they never, ever stopped being the planet's apex life forms.
And that's the key, right? Because into that world, that saturated, relentless ecosystem, Homo sapiens eventually shows up.
But not as a rising power.
No, not at all. We didn't evolve into a power vacuum. We evolved as this physically weak, incredibly vulnerable, but highly intelligent prey species.
So our intelligence, which we see as our greatest weapon.
It's just a tool. It becomes a hyper-specialized survival mechanism for a creature that knows it's on the menu. A brain capable of building really, really sophisticated cages.
It just flips the entire script on what a civilization is. The sources describe this incredibly dystopian, constrained world. So today, our mission is to really unpack what that one historical shift, the survival of the megafauna, does to humanity, to their cities, their psychology, their politics, all of it.
Yeah, the core question we're asking for you, the listener, is a simple one. What does a high-tech dark age actually look like when every single piece of advanced tech you invent is just a better defense against biology?
Technology for hiding, not for exploring.
Exactly, for building a better bunker.
All right, so to really get your head around this, you have to basically delete every image you have of a modern city. Our whole idea of urban planning is based on an assumption of safety.
A fundamental assumption that the outside world is basically inert, or at least not actively trying to eat you.
Right. Our biggest threats are what? Weather, maybe other people. But in this world, the threat is biological, it's constant, and it's colossal.
And that makes the very concept of urban sprawl, as the sources point out, instantly fatal.
Think about a city like Los Angeles or Houston. All that low-density suburbia, miles and miles of single-family homes, open parks.
To the local megafauna, that's just a well-stocked pantry. It's a giant, easily accessible feeding trough with soft targets inside.
So the entire geometry of human life has to change. The calculus is completely different. You can't afford to defend a huge perimeter for a small population.
The cost is astronomical. The infrastructure, the energy, the manpower just for defense. It's not feasible. So human civilization is forced into one model: maximum possible density and fortification.
It's survival by compression. You pack everyone into these hyper-concentrated containment zones. It's the total opposite of our modern desire for open space and a backyard.
Space isn't a luxury in this world. It's a terrifying vulnerability.
And where you build these fortress cities, it's not on the nice fertile plains, is it?
Absolutely not. That's prime grazing and hunting territory. No, they're clustered in these very specific, geologically defensible areas. We're talking about steep mountain ranges, archipelagos cut off by deep water.
Places that are naturally discouraging for a 40-ton animal to try and navigate.
Exactly. The location is dictated purely by defense, not by access to resources or trade routes. You have to bring the resources in at enormous risk.
And if the surface is too dangerous?
You go down, you dig. That's where you get these massive subterranean networks. The sources use New York as a prime example of this.
So forget the glass skyline, that's gone.
Completely. Instead, you have this vast, brutalist complex that's built partially underground, leveraging Manhattan's bedrock. The hard rock of the island isn't a building constraint anymore. It's your primary defensive asset. You don't build up for prestige, you build deep for survival.
But that leads to the big engineering question. How do you build a wall that can actually stop an animal? Not a tank, not a bomb, but a living battering ram.
And that is the absolute nightmare for the engineers of the Mesozoic continuum. They need seismic walls. We're talking about walls designed to absorb and dissipate the kinetic energy of tactical artillery.
That's what you need to stop a charging triceratops.
That's the minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 7 or 8 ton animal hitting the wall at 30 miles per hour.
Yeah.
It's a biological bunker buster. That's the kind of force we're talking about.
So these can't just be concrete slabs.
Oh no. The sources describe these layered defenses. An outer layer of, say, impact-absorbing polymers, then meters of reinforced ferroconcrete, all of it anchored deep into the bedrock with these complex damping systems inside the wall itself.
The goal isn't just to stop the impact, but to stop the shock wave from leveling the buildings on the other side.
Precisely. Which means the whole skyline, the entire visual identity of human civilization, is purely defensive. You don't see corporate headquarters.
You see weapons.
You see weapons, you see observation towers. The sources mention these massive sonic cannons, which are really interesting. They're not designed to kill.
They're crowd control for theropods.
Oh, basically, yeah. They emit frequencies that disorient the balance and auditory systems of large predators. The goal is to make them confused, to make them feel pain, and to turn them away before they ever even touch the wall.
And if that doesn't work,
Then you apply force. Overwhelming force. That's where the automated railgun turrets come in. This is top-tier military hardware used as essentially municipal animal control.
and they're constantly scanning, right, a continuous perimeter watch.
Triple redundancy, thermal, seismic, infrasound triangulation. They're creating this constant overlapping bubble of threat detection around the entire city.
The power requirements for that must be insane. Railguns take a huge instantaneous surge of energy.
Which ties back to the geography.
Yeah.
These cities are often built near geothermal hotspots, or they have their own city-scale fusion plants buried deep, deep underground. The entire energy grid is designed around weapon deployment first, civilian needs second.
And every city block is essentially a forward operating base in a permanent war.
A war against biology itself. And the moment you step outside those walls, you're in what they call the red zone.
The red zone is everything else.
It's the 99.9% of the planet that isn't human territory. The suburbs, the forests, the plains, it's all been reclaimed. It's wild, and it is ruthlessly efficient.
The sources give this chilling little detail. Survival time for an unarmed human in the red zone is measured in minutes.
Which tells you everything you need to know. It tells you how physically outmatched we are, and it tells you how effective that ecosystem is. The world map is just these tiny little dots of human civilization in a sea of red.
Which leads directly to the next huge problem. How do you feed everyone in that box?
Right. When you're locked in, and the outside is that dangerous, traditional agriculture is not just difficult, it is fundamentally impossible.
It's the ultimate choke point. Our entire civilization is built on surplus food from vast open fields. You can't have a 100-acre cornfield outside the walls here.
That field would be eaten, the soil destroyed, and the farmers consumed before a single crop could be harvested.
And what's so brilliant about the analysis in the sources is that it's not just the obvious predators, it's not just the T-Rex.
No, and this is critical. The giant herbivores, what the sources call the sauropod threat, are just as catastrophic to human survival. They're a force of nature.
It's not just what they eat, is it? It's their sheer physical presence.
Exactly. Imagine a migrating herd of Argentinosaurs. Each one weighs maybe 80 tons. They don't just eat crops, they are a living, kilometer-long bulldozer.
Their weight. It must destroy the land itself.
It compacts the soil. It literally turns fertile topsoil into something like hard-packed clay or concrete. That land is then unfarmable for years, maybe decades. They change the flow of rivers just by walking through them.
So humanity is locked out of the planet's best farmland by creatures that have effectively sterilized it just by existing.
Which forces you into one solution: completely industrialized food production, all of it contained inside the city wall.
This means hermetically sealed systems.
Total environmental control. The first solution is massive vertical farming towers. We're talking sealed, multi-story structures growing basic vegetable matter under controlled light and humidity.
The energy cost for that has to be monumental. The same power grid firing the railguns is now also creating artificial sunlight for an entire city's food supply.
It's enormous. Millions of square meters of LED arrays, complex water recycling, atmospheric controls. It's a fragile, closed-loop system that requires a huge amount of maintenance.
And that only gets you vegetables. For protein, you have to go one step further.
That's solution number 2, synthetic protein production. This is the grim staple of the human diet. Protein synthesized from, algae bioreactors or even more advanced chemical processes. Nutrient paste, essentially.
I just keep thinking about the cultural impact of that, a diet of grim, utilitarian processed food.
The joy of food is gone. Culinary tradition is gone. The sources make it clear that real meat, like from cattle or sheep, is an unheard of luxury.
Because you can't have grazing land.
There's no land to graze. Those species are probably extinct, or maybe a few are kept in elite bunkers as status symbols.
So here's the thing that gets me. This is where it gets really interesting. You have this super high-tech world with fusion reactors and railguns, but it's underpinned by a level of food scarcity that rivals the Dark Ages.
Absolutely. You're in a constant state of ecological competition with creatures that outweigh you by a factor of thousands. And that pressure shapes everything. The economy isn't about growth, it's about rationing.
Every calorie is tracked. Every ounce of protein is allocated by the state.
Which creates this permanent societal vulnerability. Your entire civilization is always just one major breach or one unexpected sauropod migration away from total starvation.
And that level of constant stress, just worrying about food, has to translate into this deep psychological anxiety for everyone.
It does, and that's the defining feature of daily life. It's not just stress. The sources call it a deeply ingrained ancestral terror.
This isn't modern anxiety about your job or the economy.
No, this is the primal biological fear of a prey animal. It's baked in, and it's institutionalized through their technology. Daily life isn't regulated by a clock. It's regulated by seismic monitors.
The tremor band.
Tremor band, a mandatory wrist device that every single citizen wears, connected to the citywide center grid. It's basically an anxiety alarm you can never turn off.
I can't imagine living with that. Just a constant feed of potential doom on your wrists.
And you learn to read the vibrations. It becomes second nature. A low-level, continuous hum might be a herd of herbivores moving nearby, a nuisance, a traffic hazard, but manageable.
But the bad one, the one that spikes your adrenaline.
It's the sharp, rhythmic pulse, the heavy bipedal footfalls. That means an apex predator is close. A Dinosaur, maybe a pack of large raptors, and that pulse means you run. You get to the nearest hardened shelter now.
And the ambient noise of the city isn't traffic. It's this low-frequency infrasound, this constant rumbling from distant giants that you feel more than you hear.
It's a constant subliminal reminder of how small you are. The sources suggest that pharmaceutical dependency is rampant, anti-anxiety meds, sleep aids. It's the only way most people can cope.
And this threat isn't abstract. Sirens are a daily thing. Schools don't have fire drills. They have breach protocols.
The breach protocol is the core survival school you learn as a child. It's not get under your desk. It's a multi-stage plan to maximize survival when a 12-ton carnivore has just punched a hole in the outer wall.
Move up, seal the internal bunkers, and be silent. And just hope the military gets there in time.
Exactly. It structures your entire childhood around the reality of being hunted.
Yeah.
And that reality means you can't just leave. The very idea of ground travel is dead.
No highways, no interstates. They'd just be, what, convenient paths for predators to follow right to your door?
Massive, highly visible feeding troughs leading straight to the cities. Crossing the continent on the ground in a normal vehicle is not just risky, it's classified as a suicide mission.
But some travel has to happen, for resources, for military operations.
And for that, you have the land ironclads. These are not commercial vehicles. They are massive, heavily armored military convoys. Basically, land-based battleships.
Designed to just absorb punishment and keep moving.
Layered armor, their own defensive turrets, flame projectors. But even they are just big, high-value targets. Their strategy is speed, overwhelming firepower, and very, very careful route planning, using seismic data to avoid known predator territories.
The casualty rate for those crews must be astronomical.
It's a last resort,
Yeah.
which means for all practical purposes, for the economy, for logistics, everything has to go by air.
But even the sky isn't safe.
No, the lower atmosphere is ruled by giant pterosaurs. The sources specifically mention Quetzalcoatlus,
With a wingspan of what, 35 feet?
or more. These are not birds. They are massive aerial predators, and they are fully capable of bringing down smaller aircraft.
So all air traffic, all cargo has to fly above 15,000 feet just to stay out of their territory.
Which is a huge logistical nightmare. It increases fuel consumption, it requires pressurized cargo holds, it adds weight, it severely limits what you can transport.
You're not moving book or construction materials this way.
You're moving high-value components, synthetic nutrients, data. It creates this fractured, hyper-localized global economy. Every city is an island, connected by these incredibly fragile, high-altitude air bridges.
And that kind of constant fragility, that existential threat, it has to lead to a really brutal form of politics.
It does. When your society is in a permanent state of crisis, things like individual liberty and democratic debate, they become luxuries you can't afford.
The sources are pretty clear on this. Democracy is seen as too slow, too inefficient. You can't hold a committee vote when a predator is breaking down the wall.
So you get this global regression. Widespread authoritarianism and martial law become the norm because they're seen as necessary for survival. You need instant, centralized command and control.
And the government's role just completely changes. It's not about providing services anymore.
It's a defense contractor. It's a resource hoarder. The military and the police merge into one entity whose only job is to hold back the biosphere. Dissent isn't just a political problem. It's a direct threat to the survival of the group.
And citizenship itself isn't a right, it's transactional. You have to earn your place.
Often through service. The sources mention the Reclamation Corps. These are the people who do the impossibly dangerous work outside the walls.
Repairing the railguns, fixing power lines.
Going on short-range harvesting missions into the red zone. It's basically a form of required service or maybe even penal labor. You risk your life out there in exchange for security and rations for your family inside.
And their life expectancy has to be
Abysmal. They're seen as both essential and completely expendable. It's a brutal filtration system for the population.
which just hardens the class divisions. And it's a literal physical division, isn't it, based on altitude?
Yes. The wealthy elite live in the highest, most secure towers or the deepest, most fortified bunkers. They're insulated from the vibrations, from the immediate danger.
They're psychologically removed from the terror.
While the poor, the majority of the population, live on the ground zero levels,
Closest to the perimeter walls.
right where the danger is most immediate, where the vibrations of a passing Tyrannosaur literally shake dust from your ceiling. They're the city's involuntary, biological crumple zone.
This level of constant stress, of desperation, it has to lead to some truly dark choices. The ethical compromises must be terrifying.
It's the ultimate ethical nightmare. Science gets narrowly focused on survival, and the darkest manifestation of that is the practice of the cullings.
Where the government authorizes these massive operations to just sterilize huge areas of the red zone.
Using chemical weapons or, and this is shocking, low-yield tactical nuclear devices.
They're not trying to manage the ecosystem, they're trying to annihilate it on a local scale just to buy themselves some breathing room.
It's pure survival math. You wipe out the megafauna in a 500-square-mile radius to reduce the pressure on your walls for a year, to maybe get a slight increase in rations.
But the environmental cost, the fallout, the chemical contamination, you're poisoning the planet to save yourself from it.
And it creates massive tension between the city-states. One city's culling operation can poison the territory of another. It's a desperate, self-destructive cycle.
Which leads to the final, darkest step, the whispers about government labs working on bioweapons.
This is the last-ditch effort. Engineering species-specific viruses designed to target, say, the entire theropod genus. If you can't beat them with guns, you try to beat them with a plague.
But the risk, a virus like that could mutate.
And that's the terrifying implication. You create a plague to kill the monsters and it jumps species. It could wipe out the entire planetary ecosystem, humans included. It's the ultimate Pandora's box. Humanity's highest intelligence is being aimed at total planetary annihilation as a defensive strategy.
So when we pull back and look at this whole thing, what does it all mean? This journey through the Mesozoic continuum, it's just such a sobering look at human arrogance.
The dream of mastery is dead. Humanity never conquered nature in this timeline. It is an eternal losing war against supersized biology.
And the result is that high-tech dark age you mentioned. You've got fusion power and robotics.
So it's all just used to build a better cage, to maintain the prison walls. Humans are forever just watching the shadows of giants pass over their bunkers.
The technology just lets them survive in a state of terror that their Stone Age ancestors would have understood perfectly.
And the key takeaways are so counterintuitive. I mean, the sheer physics of building a city to withstand a Triceratops charge, the psychological weight of wearing that tremor band every second of your life.
And the moral cost, the cullings. The fact that using a tactical nuke against nature becomes a justifiable act of public policy. It makes you ask when the fight for survival costs you everything that makes survival worthwhile.
And it leaves you with one last, really provocative thought. This scenario shows that evolution doesn't always favor dominance. It favors adaptation. So if humanity, with all its high intelligence, can only come up with ways to destroy its own environment, to save itself, the cullings, the bioweapons, does that intelligence ultimately make us a greater danger to the planet than the creatures we're so afraid of?
Are we the real monsters in the end?
That's the question. The ultimate failure of intelligence is when all it can do is invent more effective ways to poison the cradle, it refuses to leave. It's something to think about long after the tremors have stopped.